You want to go Franz extension or Scottie Barnes extension, or both?
I think they're both. I think it's a both topic. I did a lot of work on this, so
you did? I figured. I did not like either extension at all, and for two reasons. One is I don't think those guys are max players, and two, I don't understand the point of doing it a year early when we just saw Philly with Maxey be like, hold on, man. We're giving you the contract. Just wait a year. It gives us more flexibility a year from now. Signings, the whole thing. And also, like, deep down, if it doesn't go awesome, it's kind of easier as a trade asset. Barnes, I just don't get at all. They're basically saying this is the face of our franchise, and we've just not seen them win with them. Franz, we can talk about, but I honestly was stunned because I just don't think he's a max player.
By Franz than Scottie Barnes.
I was stunned by Franz. I would have waited a year, seen if he could shoot threes better, and just seen what improved in year 4. The fact that they did it a year early, I just didn't get it.
Most do it a year early when it feels like this is the max guy.
Yeah, so when it's Tatum or Edwards but Franz Wagner averaging 19 and 5, that's where I maybe draw the line.
And people could say that with Maxey, but Maxey took another jump beyond. I mean, of all the things that Morey's done here, Maxey being that as the 21st pick is that's such an incredible win to add somebody who's a flirtation all-NBA guy maybe moving forward. I mean, I know the guard position is stacked or whatever, but I voted him as a starter for the All-Star team. Even the best version of Max would be like, oh yeah, a couple years into this is the kind of neighborhood that he's going to be in. I mean, that's incredible. So normally, I don't know what the Maxey number would have been, but they were smart to hold off on the whole thing. And I agree, it would seem to just allow you a little bit more flexibility, but it feels like there are certain players that are anointed that you just know that you're giving them the max number. And it's the same thing with the Lonzo Ball deal where he does it, a year early for the 5 years and $204 million or something like that.
LaMelo Ball.
The other, I said Lonzo, my bad. The other problem with the Barnes,
with Paolo, you do it. I get it.
Paolo's
you do
a
that
no-brainer.
the moment you could do it. Tatum, you do it. Edwards, you do it. I just don't think when you get to the Barnes Franz level, I'm going to do it when it's the right year to do it. Why am I doing it a year early?
Scottie has a better argument for it than Franz does. But let's go over a couple things here. All right. LaMelo was 5 years, $204 million. That was last year. So this number's 5 years, $225 million for Barnes. The problem is that the agents want to report it as 5 years, $270 million. And that's if they were to be all NBA, MVP, or Defensive Player of the Year, which Barnes actually, there's a case to be made that if he keeps improving, then maybe he ends up on a third team all NBA. Certainly more so than Franz at this point. So the 270 number is the first number that you see on both of these players. You're going what the hell? Look at that
really
5th year. What?
Yeah.
Right. It's 225. So if it's Barnes making $10 million this year because it's the 4th year of the rookie deal, which is the second club option. There's no options on Scottie's deal. And the way this works is that we know that the max player is 35% or 30% of the cap. The super max is 35%. Well, on these rookie max extensions, it's 25% of the cap. So if the cap continues to go from 140 where it's at now to what would be the 5th year of Scottie Barnes' deal, and I just did average $10 million a year up in cap, probably goes up more than that. It's at $190 million. So you're still only paying just over 25% of your cap number to that player. So as absurd as the numbers may be for Barnes when the extension kicks in at 38, 42, 45, 50, 48, and then 51 million and 29, 30. Okay. It's not, we have to remind ourselves, it's not 51 million of the $140 million cap. It's 51 million of the $190 million cap. And that's the cap where basically every team's going to be way over the cap in the first place. So if you feel like the player has a chance to be the face of the franchise, which may say more about the rest of the Raptors roster, where I did the numbers on that, this year with Brown, RJ Barrett, and Quickly, it's going to be 78 million with those players. And then when Brown's off the books and it's RJ Quickly and then Barnes, it's 100 million or 90 million. 90, I think it's 99 million for those 3 players. You're going, man, you might be paying the wrong 3 players. So,
you think?
Yes, really? I do. It's why I brought it up. But this falls into that category of transactions that happen in the league that I know you despise. And it's the, hey, make sure you take care of our guy. Do it a year ahead of time. Let's not bullshit this. Nobody ever seems to want to say, hey, we really like you, Scottie Barnes. You're awesome, but you're not a max guy yet, or even better with Franz. So why don't we do like 5 years, 180? For whatever reason, which I think has more to do with the relationships and the front offices and the long-term playing with all this stuff. And it's kind of sometimes the team's fear of pissing off their guy and not going
you
like...
know where this was, the Celtics with Jalen was a good example of this. The first contract they gave him, not the second one, right? They signed him a year early. They took care of him, but they got kind of a pretty good deal on it. And as the years passed, Jalen knows he has a deal on it, right? He has whoever his agent was who made the deal. You have the other agents going, you realize that deal is way too low. You realize you made a huge mistake, right? So now it's in his head. I'm underpaid. This sucks. And I think that's one of the many reasons why they were like, you know what? We're not going to haggle with Jalen, whether it's 285, 290, or 300. Like, let's pay him. The guy deserves it. I think that the case against everything you laid out is what Philly did with Maxey last year. Because they're like, yeah, we're going to take care of you. Just keep getting better. Give us a year. Just trust us. And I don't know why like Toronto couldn't have done that with Scottie Barnes.
Because they weren't going to have the kind of cap space that Philly was projecting. Like this entire 24 summer for Morey was about preserving this cap space. It's why they didn't do anything at the deadline. It's why they didn't take back. But a max guy.
We left that playoff series last year wondering like what's up with Franz? Like what if Franz just never learns how to shoot threes? What the hell is he?
But he's still pretty good.
He's good, but could he be a top 3 guy on a real title team if he can't make threes? I don't know.
I just think the Maxey thing is, you're right, but it was so specific to what their cap situation was going to be that if Philly didn't have the cap room or they weren't planning it out the way they were, where they didn't take anything back with Harden's deal that was going to linger, like he was clearing the decks, hoping that a Paul George would be available, and it worked. Maybe with that part of it where Maxey's representation can understand, hey, we're going to be doing this because we're better. We're going to take care of you. We're going to give you the max deal, but the cap hold's going to be so much smaller. Don't take the extension now. And where Barnes and Franz are like, look, Orlando spent their cap space. They spent their cap space on KCP and re-signing their own guys. Toronto has all of these guys that they've traded for that they decided to pay.
I feel like we've had this same convo every summer. And the question is always asked, and my answer is always the same. Because the question is always, well, what are you going to do? Like, you got to sign these guys, right? And it's like, well, okay. We asked that with Zach LaVine. Now, this isn't like Zach LaVine level because they had a year that could either be this year or next year when they did the extension. But the Zach LaVine and Bradley Beal are the two best examples of, well, what are we going to do? You got to sign them, right? It's like, well, do you think Chicago would do the Zach LaVine thing over again? Like it was way too much money for him and now they can't trade him. And I just feel like I'm not 100% sure Franz can live up to this contract. I like him. I think he's a good player. I had him on my top 100 list. I had him as like the 68th best player in the league. But, I just look at like somebody like Austin Reeves, who we felt like took less than he was worth when he did that Lakers deal last year. There's some sort of middle ground between Reeves didn't get enough, but I feel like those Franz Barnes contracts are just too high. I just don't get it.
Well, Reeves is in a tougher spot because of where he was drafted, and his contract wasn't structured in the beginning the same way a guy like a lottery pick like Franz is, where it's very clear, like this is what you're going to make. These are the 2 club options. You go to 5th year restricted. It just doesn't seem to happen. So there has to be a reason why it doesn't happen. There's a reason why teams don't want to mess with their lottery pick the same way the Timberwolves did with Kevin Love, where they tried to be cute about it.
But we didn't like that. Neither of us liked that when it happened. Because it was like,
well,
this
especially
guy,
with Kevin Love, because
he's
he felt like he was far more
player.
established.
What are you guys doing? Fucking sign him. Yeah,
That
that's a little different. Franz, I'm not sure he's there yet.